Dork.
Hey, it's the Fort Worth Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
And welcome to our podcast where we discuss pickup, game, relationships.
And sex.
But we're not covering sex today. Maybe in a way. Maybe the outcomes of sex. But today we're going to talk. This is our first broadcast of Girl World. How do girls go through their life? And you're a guy, you're like, look, I just want to have sex. Well, girls like men and are attracted to men who just get it. Which means the more you understand women when they do something kind of crazy or say something crazy, you don't react because you just get it. So understanding like girl world, the world that girls inhabit, will help you along with that. Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of things that men take for granted that they don't realize that girls deal with. Girls deal with men constantly touching them. Girls deal with being afraid to go out at night. Girls deal with always just, even the strongest girls are still weaker than the weakest men.
Well, they're always around us. You're always around us. And we don't even think of it like you can't get the top off of a pickle jar.
Yeah, many men genuinely think of women as just men with different anatomy, but it's a lot more than that.
You literally move through the world differently.
Yeah.
You see things differently because you're shorter. Things are heavier,
Things are heavy.
Yeah, slower reactions. And
yes.
Marilyn or Bunny, she really kind of like, I already kind of like realized like, because we do fitness and girls couldn't like meet us at the park in the morning before it got light.
Right.
They had to like drive there. Because we say, why don't you just run and meet us? They're like, yeah, I can't run after dark.
No.
And I was like, in my 30s when I go, holy shit, I never even thought about that.
Right.
But girls see things differently in the world because they're built different, their brains work differently, they have slower reflexes. It all works together.
Yeah.
But their social world is a lot more vibrant than men's.
Yes.
I mean, it's their relation. They are based off of relationships.
Yeah.
So one tweet that I put out a while back was Girl World, how girls rank each other in the world. In a way, they're pecking order.
Yeah.
Because, you get a group full of women in a room, 50 women, and how do they kind of rank themselves?
Yeah.
If there's no real order there. Because men will kind of like, the leaders will go to the top. But with women, and this is my suggestion.
Yeah.
Married stay-at-home moms always rank at the top under pretty much most circumstances. And she'll talk to you about the difference in the nuances of this.
Sure.
And married women who work with kids are next. Married who work with no kids. Single women are in the middle, kind of neutral. Divorced with no kids. Divorced with kids. And at the very bottom of the pecking order are women who have never been married with children. They have
never been married, no kids.
Yeah.
Never married, no kids.
Never married with kids.
Oh, I missed that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
my mistake.
Because otherwise you'd be single.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's girls that have never ranked as a wife.
Yeah.
But they got kids, which means their picker's bad.
No one ever loved them.
Their picker's bad, or they got a bad deal.
Yeah.
But that's how, from my understanding, from talking to women, I picked up. And so that's
a good list. I mean, that's a
solid
it's
solid.
list.
And because she's going to know the nuances.
It's relatively accurate, I would say.
This is the same as like me being a visitor somewhere and observing, and this is what I saw.
Yeah.
She knows the inside track though.
Well, okay, so let's say attractiveness aside, because that matters in every single category.
Well, that's a one caveat. Because people will say, well, how do men rank them? Men rank women on two things: youth and beauty. That's it. Nothing else matters. But so you're saying, so give me an example of how a woman's attractiveness or physical attractiveness would change her rank.
Attractiveness still affects your rank because everyone bends over backwards, even same sex, to appease more attractive people. I mean, that as long as they're not complete assholes that you like hate because, you know, they're beautiful and they've got a terrible personality. For the most part, I mean, just like when you go to the grocery store, everyone steps aside, everyone wants to help you. People literally apologize for being in the way when they're not in the way. Like, all kinds of stuff happens when you're attractive, well-dressed, and carry yourself well. This applies to female rankings as well. So if there's married with children, working, not working, whatever, that's attractive, and then there's the same status, but she looks like a shit show, or she just genetically isn't as gifted, there's a popularity. It is still a popularity contest. Girls are always in junior high.
An interesting. Yeah,
I mean,
that's one way to look at it.
That's the bottom line. So, you know, attractiveness is still a factor in every single one of these categories.
So is that like a sub rank, or let me ask you this: if a girl's single with no kids and never married, but she's like an 8, does she rank higher than a married stay-at-home mom who's a 6?
A lot depends on her age. So if she's 23, fuck yeah,
right.
Because
she's potential.
Yeah, she's still got the whole world in front of her. She's still got, you know,
right.
Any man that she chooses, you know, ahead of her. If she's 55, you know, I mean, you're kind of looking at me sideways because I know that, you know, then we've got a whole other slew of issues. But if she's an attractive 55-year-old but is single, then no. You know.
Right. There's no potential there.
Yeah. And I think even women know that you've got to have some stuff really fucked up with you if you're not married, no kids,
women
55 years old, no matter how attractive you are. And then you just come across as being wildly selfish.
Will girls pull the married card on single girls? My husband this, my husband that.
Oh, sure.
Would you say that's the biggest? Would you say that's the biggest rank lever?
As soon as a woman is married, unless she's actively trying to get divorced, she is very proud of being married, even if she doesn't always like her husband.
Right.
It'll always be my husband this. I mean, everything references him. Everything from the moment she's fiancéed, everything is about that relationship.
And
it's a rank thing.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of churches are split up between married women and single women.
Sure.
You know, and I could be wrong, but like Junior League, the younger women that are single, they're in a different group.
I can see that.
Not all the time. I'm sure they mix at some point, but I think the married women have a higher.
In Junior League, there just wouldn't be as much. Yeah, I could see that being. There are going to be a lot fewer single, never married. Why would they be in there?
Professionals. Yeah, they're going to be professional girls.
Yeah, they're going to be in a professional networking group, not in Junior League.
And then kids also add so husbands first, give you a big jump.
Well, marriage first.
Yeah.
Within that, you've got, is he an investment banker who looks like Tom Cruise except a foot taller? Or is he a trash collector who looks like he just got out of jail last week? There are nuances to all of these categories.
Right.
You know, and so
it's more of a class distinction too.
Sure.
Right.
People are going to feel, because other women are going to feel sorry for someone who had to marry the trash collector who looks like a jailbird.
Right.
You know, because they know there's no hope for her. There's no hope for her children.
Kids, yeah.
It's a hopeless situation. And even if they divorce someday, it's not like that woman is going to make leaps and bounds and marry an investment banker next.
Right.
That just doesn't happen.
Right.
So marriage quality or husband quality
Interesting.
is definitely a factor. It's kind of like in junior high when brands matter. Yeah, it's the
What are you
same
wearing?
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. Next after that would definitely be quality of children. Because a great mom or a wonderful, pretty lady who's married and gets to stay at home with her kids, but her kids are nightmares who no one can tolerate being around. No one thinks highly of that mother.
Interesting.
No one thinks highly of a mom who doesn't have any control over her kids whose kids are little assholes.
And see, that's funny how you know this because you work on the inside more.
Yeah.
In girl world, and all I've done is watched it from the outside.
Well, and like you've said, you've even only dated or been married to women who had their shit together and whose kids were well mannered, well behaved.
Yeah. I've
They
never
ran
even dealt
you've
with
always
it.
said they ran a tight ship.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you've not even been exposed to shitty kids, really.
No.
It's a blessing and a curse.
I can only imagine.
But it gives you a false sense of
How things work.
of how things work.
Yeah.
Because truly, moms don't want to be around other moms. It doesn't matter how successful her husband is or how big her house is or any of it. If the kids are there and the kids are all, because and I say that, even if the kids aren't there whenever you're with the mom, she's still talking about them, and you're like, you just want to vomit. I mean, you literally just want to.
You feel bad for the mom.
You
if
feel
things go south.
claustrophobic because you don't want to hear about these kids. They're pieces of shit. You can't stand them. It's bad. So, do you want me to get into my ranking?
No.
Okay.
Before we get to that, unfortunately, then singles in the middle, girls, and I would guess from what you said, that really comes down to their physical attractiveness in youth.
Yeah.
Is how
and
they
age.
rank.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
age.
You said you.
Divorced with no kids and divorced with kids, ranking below. And some people will argue that divorce means they've at least at some point had a husband.
Yeah.
They might have. Widows are completely off this. Widows kind of are in a special category. Of
Yeah.
their own. They're other.
Yeah.
At a way, and they're always respected. Pretty much. From my understanding.
Unless they
had no
spin
control
off
over it.
and are assholes, then yeah.
But divorce, because they've had something and then lost it, and divorce always knocks you down the ladder. And then never married with kids, which, a lot of these guys, especially on Twitter, like, we just live together and have kids.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like,
Family is
great.
the bedrock of our culture.
Yeah, it's
period.
a good theory until she has to put the kids in school or and she's around all these other women who are married. I mean, there's would be a lot of stress there, that most younger guys are completely unaware of.
Well, and women do best with solidarity, with security. Thank you. So having kids with a baby daddy who doesn't want to commit you're gonna deal with a crazy woman then
eventually,
for sure because she doesn't have any security. She doesn't have her feet on solid ground at all.
Right.
So yeah, it's a shit show.
I'm always curious with the guys. I mean, because I don't like to push anybody in a direction. I'm always curious how they're going to pull that off.
Yeah.
I'm like, how's that conversation work?
How does that work in the long run?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, if you want to talk about your own life.
So
you've been through this.
So married with kid. I'm sorry. Stay-at-home mom. Married stay-at-home mom. Number one. Unless, and this is a huge unless the house is a shit show, the kids are a shit show. There are a lot of broke people where the mom stays at home and the kids are filthy. But I mean, literally stay-at-home mom that looks like a Pinterest board. Yes, she is the top of the heap. She is number one. She has everything together because her husband is earning enough that she can stay at home comfortably. The kids are clean. the house is comfortable and, usually clean and well put together. The family is eating real food. All of this stuff matters in girl world. So yes, the Pinterest board version, the prom queen version of the stay-at-home married mom is absolutely number one. Number two, I would say flip. I would say number two, married with no kids, because just because they haven't had kids yet doesn't mean they're not going to have kids.
You mean married works with no kids?
I'm sorry. Married works
Okay.
with no kids.
Got it.
Number two, because they could still have have kids.
Yeah.
As long as they're, I would say under 40 years old, there's still a lot of people who are like still holding out hope,
All the time.
I would say number three is more like the married woman that has kids but still has to work.
Has to work.
Because people feel sorry for that.
Right.
If anything, I think I would put it lower on the list. But in the realm of married, she's not as high as you have her.
One thing that I noticed from like a lot of the tweets, and from talking to different people in our line of work, you would think that like high-end professionals, executives, doctors, attorneys, they're like, they really enjoy their careers and they choose it. But quite often, if you talk to them, you go, well, would you stay home if you could? And they're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, you went to school for 6 years or 8 years.
Right.
And they're like, hell yes, I'd stay home.
Yeah. Well, because guilt is the number one thing that women
Mom's
feel.
emotion. Yeah.
And so if you're with your kids, you feel guilty for not giving work more time. If you're at work, you feel guilty for everything you're missing with the kids. I got to be a stay-at-home mom. I got to be room mother at my kids' schools. I got to volunteer. I was always on a first name basis with teachers and principals and everybody. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
There's a lot to miss that you miss even during school hours.
Oh, yeah.
So if they're at work during school hours, then they're
stuff.
missing a lot of stuff.
Awards.
A lot of opportunities, a lot of award ceremonies, lunches with the kids, doctor's appointments, all of
the
it.
Stuff.
So really, in girl world, moms who are married that still have to work are still pitied.
Interesting.
It's still hard
sucks.
It sucks. So really, I would say single, and all versions of single, whether you're single, or divorced without any kids, because that could just be a starter
That's like starting
marriage.
all over.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of women who have been divorced but don't have any kids, they never even mention the fact that they were
starter
divorced.
marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might as well have just been a glorified boyfriend.
That's true, because there's nothing that came out of it.
Yeah. So they actually, I would say, would rank theoretically above a married mom who has to work. And then divorce with kids, of course, because everyone pities them. Everybody hopes
And
that
it's extra hard.
Yeah, everyone hopes that they can pull it out and find love
Right.
and that kind of thing. But a lot depends on kind of the quality of the settlements, the quality of her life after divorce, and just the quality of the kids and the age and everything like that.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And then, of course, not married, with kids, but alone. That's not good for anyone.
No.
It's not good for anyone.
It's not good for the kids, not good for her.
No.
Not good for her prospects.
No.
Usually not good for grandma, because she's actually raising the
She's
kids.
actually the one raising the kids.
And grandpa.
Yeah. I mean, married is always a good thing. Married and or fiancéed, because that means someone loves her enough to commit to her. It's a big deal.
So that is a major rank increase factor.
Yeah.
Would be getting engaged.
Because truly, I mean, especially with anyone over, I would say, the age of 25, women who just have boyfriends, it looks a little pathetic. Because they're not being committed to, they might love her, but That's why as soon as she becomes fiancé, it's like, it's a big deal. That's why, I mean, we were joking about this earlier because we have clients who are older. They don't necessarily, everybody kind of has their own
much
assets.
paperwork, yeah.
It's a lot of paperwork, but they still are fiancéed because it just feels better. It's better for
Sure.
their ego. It makes them feel more secure. They have no intention of marrying.
And it's
but-
also why you say when you're still getting to know somebody,
yeah,
you don't get engaged.
That's
because
right.
then the train starts moving.
exactly.
And you might get off of a regular relationship because it's bad, but if the train's rolling, you're less apt to make the right decision.
That's
and get out,
absolutely
you know?
true. Yeah,
You
we
did mention
always
that.
are like, we're always talking about don't even mention marriage within the first 2 years of dating someone, because exactly what you're saying, you get into wedding mode and not
Everything
actually
else gets pushed to the
not
side.
actually building a relationship.
And you start thinking everything will be better when I get married.
Yeah, yeah.
It won't be.
No, instead you end up glossing over a lot of red flags that come through. But there's, that's my ranking. I mean, for the most part,
Yeah.
yours is pretty solid.
Well, and I think for guys, what this really, the biggest message for guys is like why women are so gung ho on getting married.
Yes.
And guys will be like, oh, it's all about the wedding, all this. But they want the rank and the things that come with it, for lack of a better word.
Right.
And a lot of girls want their mom's life immediately. Some are a little bit more realistic, knowing you have to work for it.
Sure.
But they want to step into that
Yeah.
right after college or, even in their early 20s.
Yeah.
And it's the number one thing, because first, all women, let's say, in majority,
Yeah.
want to have babies. And to have babies properly, they have to be married.
Yeah.
And to be married, they have to be engaged.
Yeah.
And to be engaged, they have to find the right guy.
Right. It's
And
a lot of
that's-
steps.
And that's why when you start going after 2 years, you're like, yeah, I just want to travel.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about maybe joining,
Merchant
the
Marines.
Merchant Marines, or even the Army, maybe. I mean, I'll be out of country for a couple of years. What's wrong?
Yeah. It's
Where
true.
Where are you going? I mean, it's the deal.
Very
that,
true.
That rank of getting married puts them on the baby train, and 99% of the time.
That's accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
1,000%.
And then
1,000%.
that pushes them up to the top of the pecking order, too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway.
If you like this, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to our newsletters. We each have one. The links are down below. Also, please like, subscribe, share, and please comment, because we really dig y'all's comments on our
We'd like to see what
podcasts.
you guys see.
Yeah, seriously. It's always fun. We want you to win. Bye.